Have you ever started painting trees and then you begin your painting and you just feel completely overwhelmed? The endless leaves, the complexity of the branches, the interplay of the light. Trees are the number one element that artists struggle with in landscape paintings. But what if I told you there's a systematic approach that breaks down this challenge down to simple, manageable steps? Well, today I'm going to show you how to transform that intimidating mass of green into a convincing, expressive tree in 7 steps. So step number 1 is to paint the dark values and shadows first, and this applies to the whole landscape painting. Now when you're painting trees, the last thing you want to do is get bogged down with all the intricacies of the tree canopy, all the leaves, that kind of thing. You'll just get overwhelmed with all the detail and it will make everything quite difficult to do. So what you want to do with your trees is just treat them as masses and then just simplify it into where are the darks, where are the midtones and where are the lights. So the thing I'm doing here is to paint the shadows first of all, and I'm using a mix of ultramarine blue with a little bit of yellow ochre, so it's like a very dark low chroma green. Now when I talk about values, I'm referring to the lightness or darkness of the element in the landscape, and trees are some of the darkest values in the landscape. So this is where we're likely to find our darkest darks, and also because this tree is almost in the foreground, this is where the darkest darks are going to be. Now we'll find our darkest darks as well as our lightest lights in the foreground. Then as landforms recede, the darks aren't as dark and the lights aren't as light. Now one of the things I've done with this tree as well, as I said, I'm treating it as masses, so I'm using big brushes, mainly number 5 and number 6 bristle flat brushes, so just getting some broad, bold marks there, and that's going to add a nice painterliness to the artwork. Now I'm painting the cloud shadows here, and even though clouds and skies are generally much lighter in value and some of the lighter values in the landscape, I include the cloud shadows amongst the darks in the scene. Now step number 2 here is to use loose brushwork when you start the painting. So this is called the blocking in stage, and as I said, I'm using number 5 and number 6 bristle flat brushes. The size of this linen panel is 11 by 14 inches and it's made by Source Tech, and if you want to get some of those, I'll put a link in the description box below. I'm painting with Blue Ridge oil paints, and again if you want to get some of those, I'll put a link in the description box below. Now what I'm doing with the tree canopy here is I'm painting the areas of it that are in light, so there's a lot of half tones in there, and I'll be saving my lightest lights until the end of the painting. But for now I'm just mixing some general greens for the tree's canopy, which includes ultramarine blue with yellow ochre, some cadmium yellow, and then a little bit of burnt sienna and some phthalo green and titanium white to get a nice rich green. Again, I'm not thinking about painting individual leaves here, I just want to block in masses and just get the overall tree's shape. Now I'm able to use a similar colour but with more titanium white added to paint the grass that's in the midground, and this is in the full sunlight. I've painted the background as if it's in cloud shadow, just to add a bit of contrast in the painting overall. And I'm also painting around some of the negative spaces in the trees. And that's what I'm doing now. So step number 3 is to work around the negative spaces of the tree. So using the cloud mix, I can also use the cloud mix to paint sky holes, and these are little gaps through the tree's canopy, but also the grass mix as well to help define the shape of the tree's crown. So right now it's just loose general shapes, we can add detail later on. And then what I was doing then was painting the sky and clouds using a mix of ultramarine blue with a little cobalt teal and titanium white for the sky, and then some titanium white with some burnt sienna for the cloud highlights. And then I just added some half tones, some loose brush marks in the main tree there. Following this, I started painting the suggestion of some branches in the tree that's in the distance. Now one of the things that's helped me to paint landscapes like this is having a process or a structure, a way that I can approach my paintings. And I have a process, so this includes thumbnail sketching and then doing a final sketch to plan my composition. Sometimes I'll do a value study where I'll just do the painting in black and white, and then I'll work on the final painting. And I found that having this approach has made my landscape painting a lot easier, and it's really skyrocketed my painting skills. Now, if you're struggling with your painting, perhaps you're just creating flat looking paintings and you're not able to create the paintings that you'd imagined, you're struggling with color mixing, or struggling with creating depth and distance in your painting, then check out my free landscape painting blueprint where I detail my process and you can apply this to your own paintings. As I say, the landscape painting blueprint is free. All you need to do is just click the link below and I'll send it over to you. Enjoy. Now back to the painting, and what I was doing here was I was just working on the foreground. So I was using similar colours to what I was using in the tree canopy, so mainly combinations of yellow ochre with cadmium yellow medium, some ultramarine blue. This forms the base of my green for the grass. Then mixing in colours such as titanium white to adjust the value. A little bit of cadmium red light, so this just helps to harmonise the green as red is opposite to green on the colour wheel. And then I can add in other colours such as cobalt teal or phthalo green just to create some different hues within the grass there. Now then, on to step number 4, and this is where I'm building up the structure of the tree's canopy here. So starting to get a little bit of detail onto the tree here, and at this point the painting was dry as well, so I was able to reinforce some of those dark values in there, just add another layer that's just going to darken it some more and really start to define the tree's shape from the areas of shadow to the areas of light. Mainly I'm just focusing on painting the halftones in the tree, and then I can build up those lighter layers. So one of the things we need to do in our painting is overall keep the painting tonally darker to start with, then we've got plenty of room to add lighter layers of paint as we build up the painting. And this leads on to step number 5, which is the modeling stage. So this is where we're working on individual zones in the painting and just building up that detail. So here, for example, I'm just working more on the clouds, so just really defining those shadows and then adding the highlights in the clouds. Also painting the sky as well. So modelling is where we're adding details to various zones in the painting and just start to refine the various elements within the painting itself. Overall, we're just getting everything prepared so that when we finish the painting we can add those final lightest tones, and that's just going to make the whole thing come alive and just give the whole painting depth overall. Now when I paint landscapes, or indeed any paintings, I always think about everything that I'm doing in terms of values, the lights and darks, because if we can get the tonal values sorted out, that's what's going to create the depth and distance in the painting. So one of the things that I come across with many of my students is often their paintings look flat, and it's because they perhaps don't quite understand the tonal value aspect to it. And actually it's really quite easy to learn about and something I teach, and you'll also find that in the free landscape painting blueprint as well. But really it's the tonal values that are the key to creating the depth and distance, and I think it's actually more important than colour mixing. Of course colour mixing is important as well, but you can get away with perhaps not creating the exact right colour so long as the tonal values are working, so creating the depth and distance with the lights and darks in the scene. So I hope you're enjoying this video so far, and I'd like to introduce to you the sponsor of this video, which is Craft Geek. Now Craft Geek make artist tripod easels as well as projector tripods, music stands and phone tripods. Now I don't often promote these types of companies in my videos, but one of the things I was looking for was just a simple tripod easel that I could use in my small art studio. The thing is, I don't actually have a whole lot of space in my art studio, so it's really important that my easel isn't going to take up too much of that space. So this was something I was looking for anyway, and actually Craft Geek reached out to me. Pure coincidence, but I've tried out their easel and I absolutely love it, and I only promote things on this channel that I use myself. Now this easel is super compact and lightweight and is really easy to set up. As you can see, I'm just unfolding it there, and I actually set this up to test it out on a painting that I'm working on at the moment. In fact, in the end I was able to actually rest the back leg on that table there, again because I don't have a whole lot of space in my studio. So I just tested out this easel on this 20" by 20" mountain landscape painting that I'm working on at the moment, and it was just really easy to use and a pleasure to paint on. So I'm going to be using this easel all the time. Now if you want to get one of these tripod easels, right now Craft Geek are giving my viewers a 15% discount. All you need to do is just type in the discount code Samuel Art and you'll get your 15% discount. Just click the link below. Now then, on to step 6, and this is where I'm restating some of the dark values in the scene. So restating the darks, for example here, the tree shadows, it's just going to help to overall define the tree's canopy more. And then I was able to work on more refinements and more details of the painting. For example, painting these sky holes in the tree's canopy. It's just going to help to define the tree's canopy further and add more shape to it, make it look more realistic. Then there was other things to work on, for example the grass in the foreground. Now when it comes to painting grass, much like painting trees, I don't go overboard with the detail, like trying to paint every single blade of grass. It just makes it look laboured, and actually I find it not really fun to paint when you're trying to work in loads of fine detail. It's not really my thing. I prefer to have my paintings a little bit more loose and imply thick grass, and you can do that with a bristle flat brush quite easily. So just having the suggestion of a few details goes a long way to making it look more detailed than it actually is. Now what I'm doing here is adding some of these lighter tones to the grass here. There's some straw coloured grass, and for this what I was doing was I was using my green mix that was already there and then just adding more titanium white and yellow ochre there so that it mixes in nicely with that existing grass. But all the while I was just adding more details and just getting the painting ready so that I can apply those final highlights and lightest value paint, which is what's going to bring out the whole painting and just make it look realistic and just make it come alive in general. Now with my painting style, I generally don't go overboard with detail, but I do like a little bit of detail. So I'm trying to find that medium between the two of loose, expressive brushwork, but with a little bit of detail. And it just makes your painting just look like it's got life and vitality and that you're really in the scene. Also just lots of atmosphere as well. So right now I was just adding more details here in the grass, in the midground and in the foreground as well. Also doing things like restating some of the shadows, some of the dark values again, which I do more towards the end of the painting, so restating the darks. Also things like adding some more shadows in the midground here just to communicate that rolling terrain. But then really at this point in the painting I was starting to think about getting it finished. So I was adding a lot more details to areas and just refining the various elements in the painting overall. And then step 7, this is where I was adding my lightest values. So here for example, the tree that's in the midground, I was adding some lighter tone to it. That tree had mostly lost all its leaves at the point that I was painting it. It was the start of autumn when I took the reference photos for this painting. So some of the leaves were starting to turn yellow and some of them had already dropped off some of the trees already. But anyway, what I'm doing is I'm adding the last details and also some of my lightest light. So in the tree canopy here, I've been building up my lighter layers, lighter marks in the tree's canopy. Again, I'm not painting every single leaf either. I'm just perhaps painting the suggestion of a few leaves, but just keeping the whole thing as just a general large mass. Now adding lighter tone to the various elements within the painting is just going to help to build more depth and make it look more three-dimensional. So again, like with the grass for example, I'm just adding a few lighter layers, a few highlights in the grass here. I'm actually using a 1/4 inch bristle dagger brush here to communicate some of that grass, just loading the end of the bristles with thick paint and then just pushing the paint upwards. And then adding other details such as the fence. For example, here I was just adding the suggestion of some of the fence posts. Not too much detail, but just adds more to the scene. And then as you can see with the tree's canopy, I added a few highlights to some of the leaves just to communicate some of those glossy leaves shimmering in the direct sun. And again, it just adds more depth to the tree overall. There was also a few highlights as well in the network of stems and branches. And at this point, the tree itself was pretty much complete, and it was just adding those last little details to the painting. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to learn more about painting trees, then check out this video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.